Yo, this is the Scarcity Studios YouTube channel. Please don't forget to like, comment, share and subscribe. This story I came across last year. I found it very interesting due to the fact of it's an example of what happens when gang culture and gang wars make their way onto everyday streets, into your local corner shop, and what that can result in. This happened in Woodgreen at an ANS store off license on Glyn Road. The shot comes from Abdul Rahim, who enters the shop and then chases the three men around the shop. As you can see in the footage, the men are desperately trying to get away, and it almost becomes like a bit of a cat and mouse game initially, until he actually clocks them in the second aisle when he makes entrance into the shop. That was the customer that just left, and a terrified customer, but the shopkeeper maintains that he stays in the shop the whole time. This is the desperation too of the reality of things. People can glamorize what you like, but when you're trying to get away from a man who's trying to shoot you, you will just squash your mate into a corner. There is no loyalty then. And that's when the machete attack there. That machete blow actually penetrated his cheekbone. There's the machete, the meat cleaver on the floor. His cheekbone was actually visible upon leaving the shop. Mr. Abdul Rahim, that's who they're fighting. They're all attacking him. He's the gunman, alleged gunman. They never actually recovered a gun. And at this point, there is a samurai sword, a meat cleaver, and two guns inside this shop occurring. And the shopkeeper still hasn't even left. He's actually, they called him a hero, but to be honest, I don't describe that as brave. I describe that as a bit stupid. These guys could have at any point just chopped him in his face or neck, or shot him even worse. And that would have been the end of him. For what? You know what I mean? This place is insured. This is nothing to do with risking your life. And clearly there, fingerprints touching the metal, fingerprints touching the side. So what's happened here is these guys have entered this shop and decided to take out all their beef in this shop. But what they forget is, as soon as you get hit, blood starts splattering. This whole shop is just one big evidence swab. They described it in court, upon arresting them, they described it in court as an ice skating rink. It had become covered in liquid and blood, and as you can imagine, when you're covered in blood and that means DNA, and then also the fingerprints are a lot thicker because you're sweating. So they caught 3 of the 5 men involved in it. There's 2 that there wasn't caught. I'm imagining there was the guys that was hooded up and a bit less visible. Ali Osman, Abdin Nasir Abdurrahim, and Jordan Francis, 21, are standing trial over the incident. 2 other men are yet to be identified. He walked off nonchalantly, they described it as. Footage from the shop captured a terrified member of the public running out of the store as the jury was told Mr. Francis and his associates, one armed with a meat cleaver, retreated from Mr. Abdurrahim, who was said to be carrying a gun. A man alleged to be Mr. Osman then arrived, first carrying what prosecutors alleged was a firearm, before returning with a sword. As you do, you just go and get a sword casually. The prosecutors said Mr. Francis took hold of the sword after Mr. Osman ran off, before slashing at Mr. Abdul Rahim, who was cut so badly that his cheekbone was visible on CCTV footage. Finally, the shopkeeper managed to get between the 2 guys, and holding the samurai sword, Jordan nonchalantly walks down the high street almost as if nothing had happened, they said. Mr. Abdul Rahim from Tottenham has admitted violent disorder, but denies owning a firearm or an imitation firearm. Mr. Jordan from Edmonton denies violent disorder, possession of a concealed weapon, and wounding Mr. Abdul Rahim with intent. And Mr. Osman from West Ham denies possessing a samurai sword and possession of a firearm. Mr. Abdul Rahim was actually convicted of violent disorder and possession of a firearm and sentenced to 5 years. The main guy who walked in the shop, Abdul Rahim, was actually from Tottenham, and the others were from Edmonton, which is symbolic of the beef between the North London gangs, Woodgreen, MPK, OFB, and this is probably what there was associated to. All of these was associated to them rival gangs. But it also goes to show, when you see your oppositions on road, no matter what the situation is, be that consequences of some innocent people or a shop owner who's done nothing to nobody and his whole shop's been destroyed because you've got a disagreement with somebody, we need to really start to think about the consequences of the actions. And then also, how did you expect to get away with this? Half of you are bait-faced, you've got no gloves on, you're touching stuff, you're stabbing people, and it's like, did anyone expect to get away from this? I don't know if they did. I don't think anybody really cared in that moment in time, and that's what it's about, is you need to be thinking of your actions before you make these decisions. I'd love to hear what people's opinions are on this. I'm sure you might have seen the video going around. It does have a few views, but to actually get the backstory to it is a different kettle of fish. So please don't forget to like, comment, share and subscribe. The Scarcity Studios YouTube channel. Peace.